Hello there, everyone, and surprise! Special bonus episode because we had a random Marvel thing that took up 5.5 hours of our day. Thankfully for us, it was in the middle of the workday, so we had something to actually be excited about in the middle of the workday. Alex, how did this casting announcement come to you?
Well, it came to me through a link that somebody posted that I then posted in our Discord. So if everyone, please join our Discord where I posted it in the superheroes section.
And
only
not
to
the
find out.
more appropriate MCU.
Yes, as in Matt, star of the show, let me know that you had been live tweeting it the entire time in the MCU room.
I got lucky that it was a very slow day at work, so I could just kind of leave one screen up on the video, and every now and again I would take a quick picture of my screen and then go, hey, this person's here. So we're going to run through that now. Marvel, like I said, took 5.5 hours to do this, and then pretty much immediately afterwards released the actual video, which is about 100 seconds.
I don't want to disappoint you, Josh, but they're not done yet. That live stream is still going right now.
I think it's leading up to San Diego Comic-Con. They said, like, just hang out here for another 4 months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I have done some pixel analysis, and in the last 24 hours, it has moved 2 pixels. So I think you're right. Right about Comic-Con, it should just reveal the first letter of the next chair. I'm excited.
Which better be ITB. Any one of those letters should be the first one to start that one, because there are a handful, if not more, big omissions. But again, I think it's to drive up the excitement, because they'll have these 27 people out for Comic-Con, and then all of a sudden you'll hear Tom Holland off on the side of the screen going, hello, excuse me, hello, why didn't I get an invite to the Comic-Con?
I'm going to marry Zendaya and be a background actor in the third Dune movie.
The minute she gets knocked up, I'm not going to be Spider-Man anymore.
And screw Uncharted. I'm never making another one of those. Fish
That's
and
more
chips,
walking than Tom Holland.
It's getting so bad. I can't do a British accent.
Screw Uncharted.
Yeah, we don't need it. I wasn't James Bond.
We're going to try and make this quick. Tangents up front aside. So let's run through the cast list. I'm just going with actor names, and then I'll kind of add context if need be. So the very first name we get, the top billed for this apparently, besides Robert Downey Jr., who's making $75 billion for this movie, Chris Hemsworth was the first chair revealed.
Kind of shocked, because it seemed like he was over this shit. Like the way he's talked about Thor the last year and a half, 2 years, seems like he was done with it. That he wasn't interested.
It's more him just taking the bullet for Taika Waititi.
Oh,
I think it's he knows he has control over Thor, and I think a lot of it was just them having too much fun on set and him not being like, I think we're losing the plot a little bit.
All right, so you're saying that he said, you know what, I'll put another shrimp on the barbie and do Thor again.
No, it's more like, I'll put another shrimp on the barbie.
Sorry,
enough impressions and voices. I'm coming for you, Charlie Barons. So we have Chris Hemsworth as Thor, Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm. Probably some of the least surprising casting there with any of the Fantastic Four. Next up, we have Anthony Mackie, Captain America. Sebastian Stan.
He's back as Captain America? He didn't pass the mantle?
They've already been filming this. They can't back out now.
Okay.
I don't know how to categorize Sebastian. I guess Bucky.
Nope.
But I put
Senator.
Everyone super. Senator. Yeah, I do have that in my notes. I have White Wolf, Winter Soldier / Senator.
Yo.
Or Congressperson. I forget what he's running for. I think it was Senator.
Yeah.
Then we had Letitia Wright as Black Panther announced. Ooh. Paul Rudd as Ant-Man with a tiny chair, which was hilarious.
Great joke.
This is where I started going like, really? Wyatt Russell as U.S. agent.
Hey, Kurt Russell's son needs to keep a gig going.
Apparently. And then we have Tina Cuerta Mejia as Namor, which woot for that. Not a big Namor fan.
He didn't die. Oh, no, he didn't die at the end of that one.
No, they ended up having like a truce.
Cut off.
Yeah, he got his little ankle wings trimmed, which hopefully they grow back, because that is a key figure for Namor as a character. Then we have Eben Moss Backrack. I don't know how you pronounce his last name. But the Thing from Fantastic Four. This was the one I was really waiting for. Simu Liu is returning as Shang-Chi. Fucking
About
finally.
damn time.
Florence Pugh returning as the new Black Widow. Kelsey Grammer as Beast. I think that was the first one where I went, ooh.
Yes. I'm sorry. He deserves better than X-Men 3, where he is a fantastic Beast. But I mean, and for past 15 years, it's been like, and where to find him? Well, apparently in an end credit sequence.
Really quickly in a real blink and you miss it moment in Days of Future Past. And then he was a CGI man in post credits for the Marvels, which almost nobody saw, unfortunately, because it's a fantastic Marvel movie.
And where to find them.
This one is spoilers for the Thunderbolts. So if you don't want to be spoiled for Thunderbolts, skip ahead like 20 seconds. Lewis Pullman as the Sentry / the Void is also going to be in this movie. I don't know if this is going to lead directly into the end of Thunderbolts or what, but that was probably the biggest surprise to me.
A little bit. I was like, well, guess that movie's not worth watching because it's not going to have any bearing at all.
You just revealed that the main villain isn't going to get their comeuppance. Next, we have Danny Ramirez returning as the Falcon, Joaquin Torres.
Yay!
Joseph Quinn as Johnny Storm, the Human Torch. David Harbour as Red Guardian.
Love David Harbour.
Winston Duke, Swoon.
Oh, so much.
Swoon. As M'Baku, supporting character from Black Panther movies and previous Avengers movies, but big time swoon for the big time man, Winston Duke.
Yeah.
We have Hannah John Kamen, also known as Ghost.
I have such a crush on her. I don't know why, but like, I understand that Ant-Man the Wasp wasn't that great of a movie, and I keep forgetting it kind of exists because the first Ant-Man had the Thomas the Tank Engine. The third one was but the second one just kind of this.
The second one had the giant
middle.
Hello Kitty Pez dispenser.
Yeah, but I mean, it was just kind of playing off more the second. But I really loved her character and Michelle Pfeiffer. So yay!
Tom Hiddleston returning as Loki, which again, that one I'm really interested in because it seems like they're either gonna kill him off at the end of the movie or they're gonna kill him at the beginning of the movie again.
Yeah, we'll get to that one, but keep going.
Next, we have Professor X, Patrick Stewart, returning once again to the MCU.
For the fourth time he's going to probably die. I mean, he died, at the end of the second one, right?
Well, you have to kill Professor X because he can solve so many problems with literally a thought.
Right. Because he died in the third one? Second one?
He got incinerated, not incinerated, turned to ash, dust. Yeah. He got dusted before dusting became a thing with Infinity War.
And then he got killed by Widow. I mean, not Widow. He got killed by Wanda.
Yep. Wanda snapped his neck and tore his jaw off. He also technically got killed by a Sentinel in Days of Future Past.
Yep. There we go. Okay.
Ever so briefly. And then also in Logan, that was probably the most impactful thing from that movie for me was when he got killed by the Logan clone.
All right, so I guess we get to watch him die for the fifth time. All right, keep going.
Next, we have Gandalf himself, Ian McKellen, Sir Ian McKellen, returning as Magneto.
Dear Lord, Alan Cumming as Ian McKellen.
He's in his 80s. Didn't he just recently fall off the stage for a show that he was doing in England?
He's
I think that was last year. I made a really bad dark joke in the live stream where it's like half this cast is liable to be dead before this movie comes out.
Yes. So actually, speaking of that, why I'm surprised Ian McKellen is in this cast is one, he's supposed to be filming Lord of the Rings,
the Hunt for Gollum,
the Hunt for Gollum, and he had said publicly earlier this year, especially after he fell off, as you said, he fell off the stage. And then I think he had a week off. And then he's done this before where he's been injured. And he would come out and say, hey, listen, I injured myself. If you want a refund, that's fine. Otherwise, if you don't want a refund, I'll just sit on stage and tell you stories. And I would take that. I'd be like, wait, I'm supposed to see him in Hamlet? I will take a night of stories instead. But he said that, hey, if you want me in this movie, which you've said I'm supposed to be in this movie, we gotta film soon, dudes, about the Lord of the Rings movie. So come on, Ian, stay Keep your heart beating, man. Because this is going to be probably, what, a 9-month shoot because they're shooting them back to back?
Yeah, it's going to be very intensive. But again, maybe he only has to be around for a little while because this is supposed to serve as like a big franchise reboot as well.
Yep.
So after Ian McKellen returning as Magneto, we've got Alan Cumming presumably returning as Nightcrawler.
Traitors.
We have Rebecca Romaine returning, presumably as Mystique, which that's one character I still do not understand how they have become so popular. I know like they were used in the 2000s movies, but I don't remember Mystique having even that big of a role in the animated series. So like how Mystique became like this tentpole figure for the X-Men movies just is beyond me, which is why I kind of wish Matt was here. He could give me a history lesson.
Oh, I can tell you.
Why is that?
Because she's hot. No, I'm sorry. As a teenage boy who was coming from the X-Men, the animated series.
She does show off a lot of leg.
Let's be fair. X-Men 1 through 3 are the Wolverine show. I mean, that's why he got 2 spinoffs of his own movie. It was about her and her seduction, and they used her so much as the infiltrator because it's a very cinematic power. But then you have that scene from the second movie where like she's seducing him as different people and stuff. 90% of it is because she's super hot in there.
Yeah.
And it is the female loving part of the audience who's like, she's hot and she can shape change. Okay. It's the fantasy aspect that really, really works. Plus with a very cinematic power.
She does have a fairly significant role in the X-Men as well. Like she's Nightcrawler's adoptive mother. Or no, they've retconned that. She is Nightcrawler's father, technically. And then she has a girlfriend's partner, significant other, who is the one she impregnated. Due to her shape-changing ability, she was able to impregnate her partner. And she is legitimately Nightcrawler's mother / father.
Okay.
And she's Rogue's adoptive mother. And she ran the Brotherhood of Mutants for a while and all that stuff. Like I get it. But my main exposure to X-Men was the animated series. And even in the new series, like she is not really in the show.
No, not really.
I just, from that perspective, as someone who only really was exposed to the X-Men through the animated series, I don't quite get it. But I also, having read more comics as an adult, I do get it. But just something that's always been like, why is Mystique such a central character for these movies? Other than maybe, to your point, cinematic, hot. We've established that like, oh, Mystique is constantly naked, therefore, so she can like morph into anyone. But continuing on, we have Sonic the Hedgehog's dad, adoptive dad, James Marsden, also Peter Rabbit's adoptive dad, presumably returning as Cyclops. So this must be like the Days of Future Past timeline, if we're assuming correctly,
I guess.
And then this is probably the one where I was like, it's not going to work this time, guys. And that is Channing Tatum returning as Gambit. It's not going to work this time.
Yes, it is.
It's not.
They shouldn't.
It's not going to work. And then our final two, we have, of course, Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards. And
Mando.
Robert Downey Jr. closes out the video telling everyone to do a shush for some strange reason.
I didn't get that. I have no clue what the hell that's supposed to mean.
It's a 5.5 hour long video, dude. Like, what are you telling everyone to shush? And also you came out as Doom in Comic-Con last year. So like, what are we shushing?
The funny thing to me is when he came out, I was like, is that supposed to be his like Victor Von Doom look? Because you know who he looks like?
Tony Stark.
No. He looks like Tony's dad. Like the whole like grayed haired, kind of like a little bit of a beard thing. I'm like, okay, are you now playing your dad?
I don't think it's any literal look into the character design yet. Yeah. I think it was just another thing of like Robert Downey Jr. getting those paychecks.
Yep.
So Alex, now that we've run through all 27 announced cast members, I did a breakdown. We have 15 MCU characters. 6 of them are Thunderbolts, including one of them being the villain. 7 X-Men. And 5 Fantastic Four characters, which obviously that doesn't make sense unless you include Victor Von Doom. So let's talk about emissions first. We have obviously the Marvels. We have Iman Vellani, Brie Larson, Tiana Prince. None of the Marvels are in this so far, despite the fact that we are doing something with the X-Men. Last time we saw Monica Rambeau, she was stuck in the X-Men multiverse.
Yep.
With her mom playing the role of Binary next to Kelsey Grammer's Beast. It would seem like she would be an obvious choice to be in this movie.
You'd think, right?
So
like
her emission seems It seems really strange. I did grab a couple of comments from the I Have Some Notes Discord just because there were some little different conversations happening than what we had. Robin over at the I Have Some Notes Discord, they had this to say: love that Marvel learned all the wrong lessons from Deadpool and Wolverine. That movie took characters that never got an ending and gave them one last ride, and did so in a way that felt like it honored their takes on the characters. Had some real emotional weight, but was still breezy and enough to work as a meta joke. And it seems like the lesson they took from the was it seems like the lesson they took was audience like seeing people they know from other movie. Robin continues, you know who doesn't need one last ride? Patrick Stewart's Professor X. He's been killed off 3 times. I stopped caring 10 movies ago. Also, if they wanted me to clap at names I recognize, give me Halle Berry, Famke Janssen, and Anna Paquin. I think Rogue is one that you don't need. They underserved Rogue. So unless they're going to do Rogue better like they did with Gambit, you don't really need Rogue, I don't think.
Not particularly.
You called Marsden before you called Halle Berry? Seriously? And then Robin continues again. The X-Men movies feel more and more like a monkey's paw curse. Like, we will cast these characters perfectly and make a couple of truly great flicks, but then we will keep on making movies and they will keep getting worse. And these characters can never be recast. Even if we do a time jump to bring in younger actors, it's not going to stick. It's the one cast forever, and they'll never hit the heights of of movie number 2. If you like Batman, you get to choose between Keaton's sarcastic charmer, Kilmer's haunted melodrama, Clooney's camp throwback, Bale's self-serious character study, Affleck's world-weary soldier, or Pattinson's angsty loner. If you like Wolverine, you get one guy. One. Nobody else gets to do it.
Until you're 80.
And like, those are all very valid points. And I do think that a lot of this screams of real quick turnaround. Like, maybe the X-Men thing has been planned for a while, because you obviously have Photon going into the X-Men universe with Kelsey Grammer and stuff. So like, that's been in the works for over a year at this point.
Right.
I'm still curious as to like what the end game is here, because before I get into my thoughts, Alex, I'm going to let you share your thoughts on these casting announcements and where you think it's going to take at least Avengers Doomsday. We're not going to get too far into Secret Wars because obviously we need to get through Doomsday first.
My main thought is that I'm a little confused as to why you would bring back Ian McKellen and you bring back Patrick Stewart. I understand that people know this cast, but you have the younger cast from the prequel movies and that had come out. Were they as popular? No. Did they get kind of driven into the ground? Sure. But it tells me that this cast is temporary, that this cast is more about nostalgia than anything else, that I feel like this is going to be used as some kind of last hurrah for them, which really bothers me, because we got that with Deadpool and Wolverine. That was last hurrah. That end sequence of showing them filming all those movies, that was the end. And now you're bringing back like basically nostalgia bait just for some kind of odd purpose. Now, I am a little surprised that they're bringing the Fantastic Four cast forward, because the speculation would be, since it's kind of like a retro 60s film, that they would be using the cast to kind of like introduce their children or something like that. But it seems definitively, if you're going to have, Papa Mando in there, you're going to be using this cast again from at least more than a picture deal, like, one picture deal. Then you have all the Thunderbolts, but you don't have any of the Young Adventures. I mean, Hawkeye is recovered. Jeremy Renner is like filming again. He bring him in. What's he doing? You don't have his daughter. You don't have, that's another part that's really weird, is it seems like they looked at where's Moon Knight? They looked at apparently the TV cast that they had and decided to pick none of them if they hadn't been in a movie. But even then, they went, oof, okay, I understand the Marvels was a movie, but nobody saw that movie. And then they went, okay, so if we're not using the Marvels, we're not using any of the Eternals. They're out. Get rid of them. So it's a very hodgepodge cast of seeming to pick like, what are our main people? And that's why I think they let off with Thor. But the part that offends me the most is Loki. because god damn it, that last 5 minutes is perfect. They gave Loki the ultimate redemption arc. They made him the world tree. They gave him the ability to just sit there and through his majesty and power give up himself to hold together all of reality so that this existential threat of he who shall not be named because he's been excised from the franchise.
Well played.
But if they use Doctor Doom as some kind of like backdoor intro, even though they tease Galacticus in Fantastic Four, to then have Doomsday and use the world tree of all these realities to pull it through and hurt Loki, I'm going to be freaking pissed.
I think the Loki side of it is going to be the most intriguing just because you want to make sure it makes sense for how they closed out that series and that version of Loki's story. I think, and I'm not the only person who thinks this has already been posted many places. It sounds like, on paper at least, they're going to be doing some form of Avengers versus X-Men, but instead of it being about the Phoenix Force, it's going to be also mashing in a little bit of Jonathan Hickman's new Avengers story that deals with the incursions that have been set up. Because among other characters that we talked about, Doctor Strange and Wong and America Chavez are not on this list as well, which again, from the multiverse of madness, you would think they would be key players in both Doomsday and Secret Wars. So where are these guys? Where are these characters? Where are these actors? We don't know. But on paper, I think this is going to be a little bit of an adaptation of Jonathan Hickman's new Avengers story that deals with the incursions, which eventually sets up Secret Wars, but also adding in a little bit of Avengers versus X-Men because you got to pay off some of that fanboy stuff of who would win in a fight between who.
Yeah, I think that is a very interesting way of going, but I just realized none of the Spider-Men are in it either, which could make me very happy because if Doomsday is if Doctor Doom is maybe a 2-episode kind of like 2-movie deal, and we don't necessarily get Toby or Andrew or Tom in this movie or either of them, I think I'd be happy because one of the things I really, really fear and I don't want is to have a moment in the film where they're fighting Doctor Doom, the mask comes off, and you hear Tom Holland go, "Mr. Stark?" And he goes,
that's going to happen.
I know, but then he's going to go, "I don't know who you are." I mean, or maybe they'll have a repeat of that, of Thanos is like, "I don't even know who you are."
See, you know? I think there's two problems with that scene that's going to play out because one, there's usually one of two versions of Doom, which in Secret Wars, it's the latter. So one form of Doom is he's a very vain man who has like a scratch on his face. And he's like, I'm hideous. I can't be seen in public. And so he throws on the mask. The other, which if you go look up Dr. Doom No Mask in Secret Wars 2015, he is completely disfigured. Like he has no nose. He's got a little bit of Harvey Dent going on where exposed jaw and muscle tissue and everything. That's the version of Doom that I think is most interesting because he is truly disfigured. He has a reason to be more upset than a reasonable person would be than just vanity.
Yeah.
But you don't cast Robert Downey Jr. if you're not going to take off the mask and pay it off in some way.
Yeah.
And I think so they're probably going to have him like almost like a Nick Fury where maybe he's got a scratch over the eye and he's got like a dead eye or something.
Mm-hmm.
But I can almost promise you there will be that moment where the mask comes off in a fight and Tom Holland, Spider-Man, or Rhodey, or who else was close with him at any given time. That's in this cast, I guess.
Well, Rhodey's not even in this cast.
Yeah. But probably the most impactful would be Tom Holland's Spider-Man, where he would be like, Mr. Stark, and Doom would just pass it off in a who's Bucky kind of way.
Yeah. So I am hopeful that they are going to do something very interesting with this. But at the moment, the first act of the the first blush, whatever I have of this cast is, I mean, I feel like this is going to be an X-Men versus Avengers kind of situation where Doom is basically in the I'm assuming dude's going to be probably our main character, because you can't have somebody like Robert Downey Jr. in this cast, especially with the budget that leaked and all that stuff, is that he is going to be like 4 or 5 minutes of screen time. He's got to have some kind of machinations happening in the background. There's got to be some sense of motivation. The Russo brothers already said that they love villains with a motivation. We're not going to, we're going to give Doom the Thanos treatment of, you're going to get to really know him and why he believes he's a hero here. It's going to be an interesting observation, because a thing to observe, because maybe the first half is maybe just these characters, and the second half is you get Doctor Strange and the others back, because what is it, Cucumber Bumblesnatch said that he is in the second movie, not the first one. He already leaked that apparently.
Yeah, I don't know, but the cast announcement has me doing a lot of retrospective on what they have done, and I do think that after Fantastic Four, I kind of want to either steal the gimmick from I Have Some Notes, or maybe just have the guys on there to discuss and maybe replot out a coherent phase 4 and 5 and 6 for the multiverse saga. Obviously, we have the benefit of hindsight and a little bit of foresight to see what's coming, but I think it would be an interesting exercise to sit down and just be like, okay, how can we make this make sense? Because we already talked a little bit about how sorry for anyone who skipped ahead for fear of spoilers for Thunderbolts. Spoilers again. The Sentry is in this movie somehow. Maybe it's going to be the very end of the Thunderbolts, and the Thunderbolts is going to end off the same way that Fast and the Furious 10 did, where it's just we're in the middle of a fight. Oh no, a thing happened. Fade to black. Maybe that's what they're going to do. Maybe it's going to be an inconclusive ending, but there's a lot of stuff just hanging out here, that it's a huge cast, a lot of characters that people love in varying degrees, but they're all largely favorable characters. They're all going to need their screen time, and Infinity War did a great job of balancing that, because they structured it in such a way that everyone had moments and they had enough runtime to do it. I'm not saying this movie's not going to have the runtime to do it. They're going to have the budget. At this point, it's more, and we're going to talk about this in our episode next week. Do the Russos have anything left in the tank to make this work? And that's a spoiler and a tease for next week. And I think that might be a good place to end it, Alex. The cast again, one last time, I'm going to speed run through this. Chris Hemsworth, Vanessa Kirby, Anthony Mackie, Sebastian Stan, Letitia Wright, Paul Rudd, Wyatt Russell, Tina Huerta Mejia. Even, why do they put these two guys back to back? Even Moss Backrack, Simu Liu, Florence Pugh, Kelsey Grammer, Louis Pullman, Danny Ramirez, Joseph Quinn, David Harbour, Winston Duke, Hannah John Kamen, Tom Hiddleston, Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, Alan Cumming, Rebecca Romaine, James Marsden, Channing Tatum, Pedro Pascal, and of course, Robert Downey Jr.
Actually, they just announced a new one. Matt Salinger is returning as Steve Rogers. I'm hooked. I'm hyped. I am down for it. Yes, please. Oh, and Luke Ferrigno as the Hulk. All right.
Those sort of things similar things are going to happen in maybe they'll can that because it didn't work in The Flash. Hopefully that's the case. But Alex, let everyone know where they can join in on the discussion, speculation, and all those fun things. It's a little place called our Discord, right?
tsmackpod@gmail.com. There's a link down below. Please join our Discord, and you can see where we actually talk about is Marvel brave enough for in Secret Wars to bring back Neil Patrick Harris as Spider-Man.
God, I hope so. So join us at the Discord. The link is in the episode description. You can email us your thoughts, questions, reviews, speculations, theories, whatever it may be. We have Talking Smackdowns coming up. Send us your Smackdown suggestions, tsmackpod@gmail.com. You can find us on all the social media platforms at Talking Smackpod, at Talking Smackpod on Blue Sky, Instagram, Threads, Hive Social, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. Thank you to Joey Fitz for getting this thumbnail made together real quick. Thank you to Leo Allen for our musical themes, Beppo for our avatars, Retrorail Studios for our Ricky avatar. Please like, subscribe on your podcatcher of choice. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Alex, thanks for doing this really quick, short episode, short for us. Thank you, dear listeners, for taking the time to download and listen. But most importantly, take care. It's a bonus episode. Do we still say it?
Oh, yeah.
All right, well, what should people do, Alex?
Oh, you should be watching Star Trek.